Shabbat Shalom. For this is the day that Yah has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. And we come into his house with thanksgiving and with praise. We come into his house with singing, and we serve him with gladness in our hearts. And we bless our King before we pray by saying, Baruch et Yahweh. Baruch et Yahweh HaMevarach. Baruch atah Yahweh HaMevarach le'elam vayed. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech ha'alam. Asher bekar benu makol hamayim natu latu na haTorah. Baruch atah Yahweh notan haTorah. That is to say, blessed be Yahweh. Blessed be Yahweh, the blessed one. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the blessed one for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples and gave us your Torah. Blessed are you, Yah, giver of the Torah. To our Elohim and our King, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, do we ask this, Master, we ask this day, O King, that you would forgive us of our sins, cleanse us of unrighteousness, that our prayers be not hindered this morning, that you would turn not a deaf ear to our cries, and that you would hear our supplication, and let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart, O King, be pleasing unto you. Let our cries go up into the heavens, Master, and may you hear them, O King, and may you have mercy upon us, and may you have a tender heart towards us, O King, and may you hear our cries, and may they come before you, and may our cries, O Master, that they may move you this day. We thank you for your mercies that you renew daily, O King. We thank you for your grace. We thank you, Master, that you have eased the burden that when you sent our ancestors in exile over here, O King, but you in your mercy, O King, unlike our coming out of Mitzrayim, you have not burdened us even more as we've been here, but you have lightened our burden, O King. And we as a faithful few who stands here today, Master, we thank you, O King. We ask that you would look at our hearts, look at our minds, O King, that we are faithful, that we come out on your Sabbath day, that this is the seventh day, for you made the world in six, and on the seventh you rested, and you say today we shall also rest. So we are keeping your covenant, O King, to the best of our ability in this exile. Master, show us favor and be tenderhearted towards us, O King, and that when you think upon us, that you would have good thoughts, that our feeble attempts, Master, to keep your Torah will be pleasing unto you, O King, and that you would remember us when on that day, Master, that shall be like none other. There have been none before, and there shall be none like it afterwards. But that you would remember us, and that we shall be your treasured possession. That you would Zakar, O King, remember your people this day. Master, we ask that you would look upon First Tabernacle, those that are gathered here today, those that are looking online, Master, those that are feeble in their bodies or the distance is too far for them to travel, that you would also count them into the assembly today, Master. We know that you are El Shaddai, that you are El Rapha, Master. We know that we have those that are in this assembly that may be ailing in their bodies, they may be sick, that you would look specifically, Master, on to Sister Gail this day, oh Master, that you would strengthen her mind, oh King, that you would strengthen her body this day. Oh Master, we ask that you would lift her up again, that she may attend your service, oh King. Master, we ask that we thank you for keeping our children as they have traversed throughout this land all week long, oh King, but you have kept them safe and you have brought them home safely to us each night. We thank you, oh King, for the leadership of this house, Master, that you would keep leading us into all truth, O King, and I want to thank you personally, O King, for the blessings that you have bestowed upon me. And Master, we ask that you would continue to keep us, that you would encourage us, that we will continue in thy word, and that we would not falter, and that we would not slip, for we know that the battle is not won by the strong, nor the race is won by the swift, but those that endureth until the end. And we, your faithful here, Master, are enduring, O King, and we shall endure. And we ask that you would continue to strengthen us, that we shall not falter and we shall not stumble. But if we do, that we may get up and that we will continue this race until the end, O King, that you would look upon us as your children when we go into the land for the last time, and that you would keep us, Master, until we meet here again. This is our prayer.
Shabbat shalom to everybody. We're going to read today from the Helium, Psalms 116 and 17. Let us read. I love that Yahweh heard my voice when I prayed, because he turned his ear to me. I will call on him as long as I live. The cords of death were all around me. Sheol's constrictions held me fast. I was finding only distress and anguish, but I called on the name of Yahweh. Please, Yahweh, save me. Yahweh is merciful and righteous. Yes, our El is compassionate. Yahweh preserves the thoughtless. When I was brought low, he saved me. My soul returned to your rest, for Yahweh has been gracious toward you. Yes, you have rescued me from death, my eyes from tears and my feet from falling. I will go on walking in the presence of Yahweh in the lands of the living. I will keep on trusting even when I say I am utterly miserable, even when in my panic I declare everything human is deceptive. How can I repay Yahweh for all his generous dealings with me? I will raise the cup of salvation and call on the name of Yahweh. I will pay my vows to Yahweh in the presence of all his people. From Yahweh's point of view, the death of those faithful to him is costly. Oh, Yahweh, I am your slave. I am your slave, the son of your slave girl. You have removed my fetters. I will offer a sacrifice of thanks to you and will call on the name of Yahweh. I will pay my vows to Yahweh in the presence of all his people, in the courtyards of Yahweh's house. There is in your heart, there in your very heart, Jerusalem. Hallelujah. Praise Yahweh, all you nations. Worship him, all you peoples, for his grace has overcome us, and Yahweh's truth continues forever. Hallelujah. You may be seated. Thankful for all of those of you who are faithful today, and we come to assemble and honor the King of Kings, the restorer of restore, the rock of our salvation, the one who said, I am the first and I am the last, and beside me there is no other. And there was no alien God with me when I created the heavens and earth. We come to worship that King and that Elohim. He strengthened us and he's protected us and he's brought us through many trials and tribulations, but here we yet stand as we are. And I'm happy for all of those of you who continue and those who are listening by way of the stream wherever you are. I'm thankful for you. Those of you who continue to contribute with your finances to help this ministry continue to do what it's doing and reaching you. I'm thankful for you, and we pray for your strength and your health. Well, I tell you, we have a moray in the house that loves to teach. He loves to teach. It's like a songstress wanting to sing a song. So he's already got one foot on the stage, and he's ready to come. So let's welcome the moray, Sean Appleton.
Microphone. Oh, there he is. There he is. It would help if I had my microphone on, wouldn't it? I give thanks to the Most High Yahweh, the one who has delivered our people from bondage and allowed us to traverse through the desert into our promised land that he promised our ancestors. The one who has created everything in 6 days and rested on the seventh. A day which is the Shabbat, the day that we rest, the day that we honor. So to him, I say thank you in allowing me to be here in front of your people. 1, Mo. Again. Just to tell you like it, T.I. is. Thank you. All right. As always, I like to greet those of you that are joining us by way of the stream. Your continued allegiance to this ministry is appreciated. Shabbat shalom to all of you. I'm going to ask Ambassador Tate to be manning that chat room today. Make sure that we get whatever interactions we're going to have. We kind of have like a little study hall when we come in here, at least when I'm up here. Y'all like to interact with me a lot. So I'm going to need to make sure my mores are mic'd up. You're going to need, every time I get up here, just assume having your microphone on because you're going to need it. So, to all of you that are joining us by way of the stream, Shabbat Shalom to you, to our descendants that are not here with us today, that will hear these recordings and hopefully stand on the shoulders of giants so they could see further. Shabbat Shalom to all of you today. To my more, Trey Beverly, Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. To, matter of fact, I'm going to look right over here in this corner at this pretty lady over here wearing this white. We're not doing this no more. To the Moray, Gerald Beacom. We're going to drop that ambassador stuff, okay? I heard y'all's podcast this week. Took my spot. So I'm going to let that, y'all interchange was beautiful this week. If you haven't seen this week's podcast, go and check it out. So to you, sir, Shabbat Shalom. To Ambassador Tate, Shabbat Shalom. To the Moray, Robert B. Holman Jr., the Moray of this house, Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. Now, we're going to do something. We're going to do something. Oh, I ain't left King Charles out. Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. King Charles. I'm going to need everybody in this room that is under the sound of my voice to stand up except for King Charles, Moray Holman, and Moray Beacom needs to sit down. Sit down. Everybody stand up. Come on, come on. The quicker we get through this. Now, in Vayikra or Leviticus, chapter number 19, verse 32 is a mitzvah. It says that you are supposed to stand in the presence of those that have gray hair. To constitute what? Their wisdom. These are the individuals that have laid the foundation for us. So, turn to the one that's closest to you and just tell them Shabbat Shalom. You just completed a mitzvot of the Most High to honor those who have gray hair. You may be seated. Now, we've done that. We've got our greetings squared away. I like to shake a lot when I'm up here. For those of you that are joining me in the studio audience today, you ready to go to the stratosphere? Yeah. You ready to go subterranean? See, I'm going to give it to you with low energy. Y'all going to feed off of me. Are you ready to go to the stratosphere?
Yes.
Are you ready to go subterranean?
Yes.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Now, today, as you probably can see on the board, we're going to talk about one particular topic today. All right? I'm pretty sure everybody in here may be familiar what Pesach and the Feast of Matzah is. So, before we get started, I want to know what you know. Tell me what you know about Pesach and the Feast of Matzah. What do we know? Because for those that are observing the solar calendar, Pesach and the Feast of Matzah are going to start on Friday. Coming up. It's going to start on sundown, Pesach. It's going to last between twilight and complete darkness. And then on that Shabbat, we have the beginning of the Feast of Matzah, where we're supposed to eat matzah for how many days? I'm giving you the answers already to what Pesach and Matzah are. Come on, talk to me. What do you know about Pesach and the Feast of Matzah? Turn your mics on. It's in the first month. That's what was said. Come on. It's at the beginning of the new year because it's in the first month. Okay. It's on the 14th day of the first month. Yes. New season. Yeah, because it's in the month of Aviv, which stands for spring. Okay. What's that? Get all of the yeast out of your house. The chametz. Get rid of it. What else? Commonly known as leaven. What's the Christian equivalent to what's happening? Oh, you know, that Easter and that Lent stuff is starting to kick in for them. What else do you know about Pesach? It starts in the evening. Yes. Which one? Pesach or Feast of Matzah? Which one starts in the evening? Pesach starts in the evening. Okay. What else?
It was the significance of us leaving bondage.
Bondage. Yes. Give me some sentimental things that are connected to it. What does it mean to you? What does Pesach and Matzah mean to, what does it mean? Okay, I'm going to use one of Paul Mooney's moves. Please don't crucify me for saying this. This is what Paul Mooney says. We're a bunch of adults in here. He says, if I was an alien that landed from the planet Taurus, and I came down here, and I asked you, what does Pesach and the Feast of Matzah mean to you? You would tell me what? We're remembering. What are we remembering?
Our deliverance.
Our deliverance from bondage. Because somebody is going to ask you, one of your family members, you observe Pesach and Matzah, what is that? And what does it mean to you? Why are you doing it? Mm-hmm. What else? Anybody else? Reflect on it.
And we eat the bread of matzah without leaven because we were in a hurry to leave out of Mitzrayim.
Correct.
Or Egypt.
Correct. That's going to be found in Shemot chapter number, we're going to go over that, Shemot chapter number 12, verses, all of it. Matter of fact, the whole entire book. That's Exodus chapter 12. What else? Every generation, it is perpetual. Okay? What else? Israel gets blessed. What else? We're going to go through this soup to nuts today. We're going to dig all of this stuff out. And then we're actually going to have a little bit of a discussion amongst ourselves because it's a thesis that I actually want to throw out at the end when I get to the end of my presentation today. Okay. Maura, you want to reflect on Pesach? I know you got something to say about it. You don't have nothing to say? Okay. Or Feast of Matzah. What it should mean to us. There we go. Come on. I knew you weren't going to last too long.
Pesach would be a beautiful thing, more beautiful than it is, if we were in the land.
Yes.
If we were in the land, we would be gathering our lambs for slaughter. Mm-hmm. We would be going to the temple. Mm-hmm. It would be a festive communal of all the families going to the temple and slaughtering their lambs and getting it ready for this and roasting this lamb and sharing it with your family and your neighbor. It would be one of the greatest gatherings of the Hebrew family that there could be at any time in Jerusalem. We would be going from from place to place where everybody was gathered, we'd be talking about the history of our deliverance from bondage and what our ancestors went through. We'd be doing Sakar, we'd be doing remembrance. It would be one great big fine barbecue party.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
Lastly,
No, okay, let me let you go, and then Trey, you got the last word. Beautiful. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, lastly, it was one of the 3 times that all males were supposed to present themselves in the presence of Yah.
That's right. One of the 3. This is the time that we have to do something. We have to travel someplace. Yes, sir. Okay. That microphone. Thank you. I was looking for that microphone. I'm gonna let you repeat that because I couldn't do it any justice.
What is the lamb again?
I said the Most High Lamb is an actual lamb and is not a 33-year-old male blemished adult.
Okay.
Okay.
If you could drop that, probably drop the mic. Boom. If you could.
I don't want to.
He's not a 33-year-old male.
I don't want to dent it up any more than what it is. I'm not going to do a mic drop.
All right, somebody mute their microphone. It's one of the ones that's on. We got a low rumble in the rumble. There you go. There you go. What was that? That might have been yours. That was yours? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we got some reflections on Pesach and Matzah. Let me give you my 2 cents when I thought about it. I said, we do this thing every single year. And one of the things that stuck out, which this is how much me and your moray are kind of on the same page. We kind of have a kindred spirit. He said a 2-letter word in there. Now, before I even actually get into this, is this a festival that we can do in its totality in exile? So let's be clear. You cannot do this in totality in exile. We are doing the things that we can do in practicing it. Okay? Somebody could take it to, I don't know why you would do this, but if they wanted to go ahead and build themselves a tent meeting and makeshift and act it all out, that's fine. All we're doing is a reenactment of what this mitzvot is about. You cannot keep this one. Or the Feast of Matzah in exile in its totality. Because of what? What did the moray back here said? This is one of the ones where all the men have to be where? In Yerushalayim. You couldn't do these if you wanted to over here in these US of A's. Okay? So let's get that squared away. One of the things I thought about was this 2-letter word that your moray talked about. There's a 2-letter word. We. We can spend so much time going over the mitzvot, getting the chametz out. When does it start? What time of the year? All these specific things that are inside the mitzvot. But I'm thinking to myself, out of all these years, we've missed one of the undertones of the mitzvot. We. Hebrew Israel is not supposed to be a disjointed group of people. We are a family. We spend so much time dealing with the individual pieces instead of, in this particular one, the Most High has designed a particular mitzvot to actually say, all of you are going to commune into one spot. I'm thinking to myself, baby steps. What an awesome way to be able to connect with other communities of Hebrew Israel and start observing the mitzvot more intentionally. Sacramento can't be doing something that Sacramento's doing. Atlanta can't be doing something else. Florida can't be doing something else, and Detroit can't be doing something else either. If anything, we should be able to create a community amongst the leaders of all these particular spaces where we are actually prominent and be able to come together and observe the mitzvot, because that's what the Most High wants us to do. Has anybody ever had a family member or been in a family where that person, through whatever situation, has been excommunicated or excommunicated themselves, and when you observe like these holidays, you feel like something's missing? Somebody's missing. We weren't designed to be separated. We were designed to be together. So I'm looking back on this, I'm saying, okay, we, Hebrew Israel, we, not just Sacramento. Now, what does that mean for us in moving forward? If we take upon this postulation, it's to say, we got some things we got to agree upon amongst leaders, amongst all of these Hebrew congregations, don't we? This calendar is one of them. Because if we're all doing something separate, we're never going to be able to come on one accord. How can we show the Most High that we're trying to do these mitzvot if we're not putting our best foot forward? I'm going to actually start saying this, and I may get my hand slapped for saying it. Hebrew Israel is keeping Hebrew Israel in exile. Hebrew Israel is keeping Hebrew Israel in exile. Why? We can't come together on nothing. We are just like our ancestors, stiff-necked, hard-hearted. While we're trying to find people to let them know who they are, we've got also work to do internally within Hebrew Israel to make sure that we have an amalgam of people together so we can say we. Not Atlanta, not Sacramento. And I'm not picking on Atlanta. I'm just using them. East Coast, West Coast. Okay? So that's what I'm thinking when I'm reading these mitzvot is, wow, we can take these mitzvot to the next level because the Most High has got an undertone of you guys need to be working together. The tribe of Dan can't be on its own. The tribe of Zebulun can't be on its own. The tribe of Benjamin can't be doing something else. When you all came back to Yerushalayim, you came back as a unit. Okay? That was one of the things I thought about. I said, moving forward with this, I said, we've got to do better amongst ourselves. Now we know who we are. Now we need to start making sure we are moving as one unit. Leaving a legacy for our descendants, because I'm not just talking about the United States. Once we get it together in the United States, then we need to actually be seeking the four corners of the world where everybody is. Once we start getting to that point and looking at vision and start moving, start making sure that the Most High is saying, my wife is putting her best foot forward to come back to me. This is what she's doing. The one thing she's failed at every single time, which was what? She's stiff-necked and hard-hearted. So I looked at these mitzvot a little different this year, like, man, I think we're only getting half the power of this because we're not together. So think about that. All right. Pesach and the Feast of Matzah. Did I put the verses where I was going to go today? I think I did. There they are. There they are. We're going to tackle Shemot chapter number 12 in its entirety. And this will just be a read through just because of the fact that it's just history. That's not true. That's not true. At the end, there are mitzvot that are at the end of it that we're going to go over. But it's generally going to be a read through of the history of what happened during the time that our ancestors were leaving Mitzrayim. Vayikra chapter number 23 is going to tell you when to observe it. Devarim chapter number 16 is going to tell you what you got to do on it. And there are quite a bit of sacrifices that actually have to happen during this time. It's going to tell you the liturgy on what you're supposed to do in Devarim chapter number 16. Bad Midbar chapter number 28 does somewhat of the same thing. When I'm saying Bad Midbar, I'm saying Numbers. When I say Devarim, I'm saying Deuteronomy. Vayikra is Leviticus, and Shemot is Exodus. So the last two down there, Shemot chapter number 13, which is Exodus chapter number 13, is going to start to get into my hypothesis that I want to kind of have a little study hall with you guys on, have a little interaction, bounce it off you, what you think. So does Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter number 6. Those two go together. All right? Let's jump right into this, but I'm going to ask a question. Out of these 5 Moedims, festivals, appointed times, I already know what your answer is going to be. Which one do you think is really, really, really important? Wrong. Wrong. Right. Y'all are answering this like Christ answered this other question. There is no one is more important than the other one. They all hold the same equal importance. Now, I'm going to say this. There's significance at each individual one that we can draw upon. Yom Kippur, when we have what? The atonement for Hebrew Israel. This one here is the Most High's calling card. This is his business card. Hi, my name is Sister V. Oh, and you can call me Vernon. No. This is my business card. See how pretty it is? It's his calling card. Anytime the Most High introduces himself or says to anyone, he wants to prove who he is, he says what? I was the one that delivered you with a strong arm. He uses this particular Moed or this particular festival as his business card to say, this is who I am. This is me. I don't identify myself saying this is the Most High who, when in some instances he does say that, who kept you in the desert for 40 years, but not as much as this. You'll see this riddled out through all of the Hebrew texts. Okay? So they have significance. All right? But none of them are, and one is more important than the other. Let's get right into it. Chapter number 12, and we will start the reading. This is the history of what happened to our people in the land during the time of, or we see the establishment of Pesach and Matzah here in this particular chapter. History. Eye Ashe Eye spoke to Moshe and Aharon in the land of Mitzrayim and said, you are to begin your calendar year with this month. It will be the first month of the year for you. Speak to the assembly of Hebrew Israel and say, on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb or kid for his family, one per household, except that if the household is too small for a whole lamb or kid, then he and his next door neighbor should share one, dividing it in proportion to the number of people eating it. Your animal must be without defect, a male in his 33rd year. No, what does it say? It says a male in its first year. And you are to choose it from either the sheep or the goats. Verse 6, you are to keep it until the what? 14th day of the month. And then the entire assembly of the community of Israel was slaughtered at dusk. Does everybody understand what's going on here? All right? Let's just make sure we're all on the same page. On the first day, on the 10th month, what was supposed to happen? They're supposed to pick out what does it say? It's supposed to pick out a what? A lamb or kid, right? Keep it until the 14th day of the month, right? That's what it says that it needs to have, they were doing. Now, we're at the 14th day when we're in verse 6, and it says, on that month, the entire assembly of the community of Israel. Wait a minute, let me go back and get that. And then the entire community of Atlanta. No, wait a minute, it didn't say that either. The entire assembly of Sacramento. Oh, no, I didn't say that either. It says the entire assembly of the community of Hebrew Israel will slaughter it at dusk. They are to take some of the blood and smear it on the two sides and the top of the door frame at the entrance of the house, which they will eat it. That night, they are to eat the meat, roasted in fire, and they are to eat it with matzah and maor. Don't eat it raw or boiled, but roasted in the fire, with its head, the lower parts of its legs, and its inner organs. Let nothing of it remain till morning. If any of it does remain, burn it up completely. So in the evening, they slaughtered the animal. They ate throughout the night. Matzah and maor, right? None of it could last until the morning. Because the morning, I'm going to contend here, would start the new day. Says, 9, don't eat it raw or boiled, but roast it in fire with its head, its lower parts of its legs, and its inner organs. 10, let nothing of it remain until morning. If any of it does remain, burn it up completely. 11, here is how you are to eat it, with your belt fastened, your Jordans on your feet, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you are to eat it hurriedly. It is Yahweh's Passover or Pesach. Says, for that night I will pass through the land of Mitzrayim and kill all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, both men and animals, and I will execute judgment against all the elves of Mitzrayim. I am Yahweh. The blood will serve you as a sign marking the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I will pass over you. When I strike the land of Mitzrayim, the death blow will not strike you. 14. This will be the day for you to remember and celebrate the festival to Yahweh. From when? To generations, to generations, to generations. From generation to generation, you are to celebrate it by a. Does that mean that it stops? Ever? Okay. Seems pretty clear. For 7 days you are to eat matzah. On the first day, remove the leaven from your houses. This is going to wind up in the mitzvot later on. For whoever eats chametz, leavened bread, from the first to the 7th day is to be cut off from Israel. On the first of the 7 days, you are to have an assembly set aside for El. On these days, no work is to be done except what must do to prepare food. You may do only that. You are to observe the festival of Matzah. For on this very day I brought out your divisions from the land of Mitzrayim. Therefore, you are to observe this day from generation to generation. Here it comes again. By a what? Perpetual regulation. From the evening of the 14th day to the first month of the first month until the evening of the 21st day, you are to eat matzah. During those 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. Whoever eats food with chametz in it is to be cut off from the community of Israel. It doesn't matter whether he's a foreigner or a citizen of the land. Eat nothing with chametz in it. Wherever you may live, eat chametz. Yes, sir. Microphone. Yep. Somebody said something in the chat that was interesting.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
a
sir.
very interesting comment was, okay, it says, okay, family, all alcoholic beverages are made with yeast. I think about what must be removed from the home for 7 days. So should we be removing all alcoholic beverages?
If it's made with yeast, then yes. Yes, that's leaven. It all must go. And we're going to get to those mitzvot that says this is what you're supposed to do. We're going to do the whole entire set of mitzvot that are surround this thing, so you know the whole entire thing from soup to nuts, and then the ones that we can do while we're in exile as we practice this particular one, okay? We're going to go over, keep going over the great question. That's the kind of interaction we're looking for. All right, let's keep going. 15. Where did I leave off? Was that 15? 21? 21? Okay, my kids hate it when I do that. It's like, dude, you are such a lame. Then Moshe called for all the leaders of Israel and said, select and take lambs for your family and slaughter the Pesach lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop leaves and dip it in the blood which is in the basin and smear it on the 2 sides and top of the door frame. Then none of you is to go out the door of his house until morning, for Yahweh will pass through and kill the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood on the top of the 2 sides, Yahweh will pass over the door and will not allow the slaughterer to enter your houses and kill you. You are to observe this as a law. You and what? How long? Okay. Is that until 2025? No. Forever. 25. When you come to the land, all right, listen up, y'all. When you come to the land which Yahweh will give you, as he has promised, you are to observe this ceremony. Does that apply to you? Yes. The Most High said, tomorrow we're going back to the land. Does this not apply to you? It says, when you get back into the land, when you get there, we're not there yet. So that's why I said, listen up. It says, when you come into the land, which Yahweh will give you, as he has promised, you are to observe this ceremony. When your children ask you, what do you mean by this ceremony? What does Pesach or Feast of Matzah mean? Here's your answer. It is a sacrifice to Yahweh, Pesach, Passover, because Yahweh passed over the houses of the people of Israel in Mitzrayim, when he killed the Egyptians but spared our houses. The people of Israel bowed their heads and worshiped. Then the people of Israel went and did as Yahweh had ordered Moshe and Aharon. That is what they did. So you've got your answer on what it means, which you guys did. You gave me the answer that was in text. 29. At midnight, Yahweh killed all the firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeon, and all of the firstborn of the livestock. Pharaoh got up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a horrendous wailing in Mitzrayim, for there wasn't a single house without someone dead in it. He summoned Moshe and Aharon by night and said, up and leave my people, both you and the people of Israel, and go and serve Yahweh as you said. Take both your flocks and your herds, as you said, and get out of here. But bless me too. Now, you know, some pastor is going to take that and twist that all to high heaven. When they coming at you, da 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 blah blah blah. See what he's saying? Get out. The Egyptians pressed to send the people out of the land quickly because they said, otherwise we'll all be dead. Okay. The people took their dough before it had become leaven and wrapped their kneading bowls in their clothes on their shoulders. The people of Israel had done what Moshe said. They had asked the Egyptians to give them silver and gold, jewelry, and clothing. And Eye Asher Eye had made the Egyptians so favorably disposed towards the people that they had let them have whatever they requested. Thus, plundering the Egyptians when they left. Y'all left rich. Oh, let me have that. I like that gold chain you got on right there. Could you imagine our folk doing, hey, Playboy, I need them rims off your car, though. What was that? Break yourself. So, a lot of that was happening as our ancestors was leaving. They left rich. I'm rich. Anyway, I ain't going to say the end of that. Oh, my goodness. 37. The people of Israel traveled from Ramses to Sukkot. Here's the number that left. Some what? 600,000 men on foot, not counting children. A mixed crowd, a mixed group also went with them. There's your foreigners. As well as livestock in large numbers, both flocks and herds. They baked matzah loaves from the dough that they had brought out of Mitzrayim, since it was unleavened, because they hadn't been driven out of Mitzrayim without time to prepare supplies for themselves. The time the people lived in Mitzrayim was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, to the day, all the divisions of Eye Asher Eye left the land of Mitzrayim. This was the night when Eye Asher Eye, the birth of Hebrew Israel, is happening. She's giving birth right now. She's marching out, getting ready to assume her position in the land to fulfill this promise. This is where it starts. This is your beginning, your genesis of our people as a community, as a family. Let me go back up to 39. It says, they baked matzah loaves from the dough they had brought out of Mitzrayim, since it was unleavened, because they had been driven out of Mitzrayim without time to prepare supplies for themselves. Now, 40, going back, says the time the people lived in Israel, I keep wanting to say Mitzrayim, lived in Mitzrayim was 430 years. At the end of 430 years, to the day, all the divisions of Eye Asher Eye left the land of Mitzrayim. This was the night when Eye Asher Eye kept vigil to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim. And this same night continues to be the night when Eye Asher Eye keeps vigil over whom? All the people of Israel through what? All their generations. The Most High is watching intently during this particular time. Interesting. Now, let's get into the mitzvot that's surrounded, that's on the back half of this particular chapter. Yes, sir.
Let me mention something here. Mm-hmm. If the Most High is keeping vigil over Israel on the night of Passover through all their generations, but you don't celebrate any part of this mitzvot because you're not in the land, where does that put you? I mean, there are some Hebrew communities that don't celebrate Passover because it says you're supposed to do it in the place where his name is. There's another mitzvah that says in the place his name is. So they don't celebrate it as a community at all. But if the Most High is keeping vigil at this time over Hebrew Israel through all their generations, I would have to say that they are operating under a very stringent point of grace.
Sure, absolutely. Especially when you have language in the pretext here that simply states it's perpetual and you're supposed to do it generation after generation. So if I'm outside of the land, I have to be able to do what I can do.
Yeah, and there are a plethora of mitzvot that we can't do in exile.
Yes, absolutely.
But that doesn't stop us from doing that which we can do.
Absolutely. 100%. It gets back to, I'm going to speak about you for a second, because you put me on this path, and I don't even know if you realized it, or I realized it at the time. It gets back to this issue of intent. When we first started talking about Vayikra, we started talking about we can't do any of those mitzvot because at the beginning of Leviticus, we're talking about all the sacrifices and all these types of burnt offerings, grain offerings, peace offerings, all these types of things. But everything started with the intent. I'm doing this. It's costing me something to go through this whole entire liturgy to say that I'm sorry for something that I did, to make an atonement for it. But the Most High doesn't have to accept it, right? Because your intent is not there. The intent should be to do what you can do. Not, okay, if that's the case, then there's only probably a handful of mitzvot that you're keeping in exile. Now, if you've been kicked out, if your husband has kicked you out of the house, or your wife has kicked you out of the house, do you think that they're going to have some low bar effort to be like, you know what, you can come back in? No. You want to see some energy put forth, your best foot, so when you get back in here, we can finish the piece that you couldn't do. But you got everything else down. I would be very much, I'm with you, against this idea of not doing these mitzvahs just because there's portions of them that you can't do outside. So that negates the whole entire thing. You do what you can. Because of why? The Most High knows what's here. Matter of fact, why is that an important concept? Who in our history can you say that happened to? Melech David. Melech David, he said, hey, listen. What did he say to Shemuel? You saw these 8 or however many individuals that were there. You don't know what's in here. You see the outer person. I know what's inside. That fake facade that they want to put on and show the world that they strong, that they handling it, when in the night, in the wee hours of the morning, you crying in the closet because of that same stuff, because you got to put on the front. I know that person that's crying in the closet. I know what's here. So intent has a lot to do with a lot. Okay? Especially as we're trying to move forward with these mitzvot in exile. I'm sorry, I got on my soapbox for a second. Let's get back to the text. Asher said to Moshe, these are the mitzvot, okay? Here we go. This is the regulation for the Pesach lamb. No foreigner is to eat it. Put a pin in that because there's going to be an exception to this coming up, okay? No foreigner is to eat it. But if anyone has a slave bought for money, when you have circumcised him, he may eat it. Neither a traveler nor a hired servant may eat it. So, none of us have slaves. But one of the stipulations here is for us men to partake in it, you have to be what? Circumcised. Okay? That's a prerequisite. Can that be done in exile? Yes. Okay? It is to be eaten in one's house. You are not to take any of the meat outside the house. And you are not to break any of its bones. The whole community of Israel is to keep it. Emphasizing what we said earlier. Here's your caveat to what I said about the foreigner. It says, if a foreigner staying with you wants to observe Pesach. Where is this? This is in the land, right? says all his males must be circumcised. Then he may take part and observe it. He will be like a citizen of the land, but no uncircumcised person is to eat it. The same teaching is to apply equally to the citizen and to the foreigner living among you. That's the prerequisite. Even partake. So it can't leave the house. You got to eat it in your home. Anybody that's partaking of it needs to be circumcised. Males need to be circumcised. All right. 50. All the people of Israel did just as Asher had ordered Moshe and Aharon. On that very day, Asher brought the people out of Israel. Brought the people of Israel out of the land of Mizraim by their divisions. So, we've got the establishment of a couple of mitzvot there, and we got the establishment of what actually happened during that time when the Most High went through the land of Mizraim, killed all the firstborn, right? Our people slaughtered the Pesach. They had the Matzah ready to go. Most High brought them out, all right? That's the history of it. Now, let's get into the liturgy of what we can do for the rest of these mitzvot that are assigned to it and what we can do in and out of the land. Okay? All right. Now, I'm going to ask a question. My Moreh is probably going to jump in here and answer it. Is Pesach something that we do together? Or is that done in your house? Where is Pesach done? Is Pesach done in your house or is Pesach done as a community?
It's done as a community.
It's done as a community. Okay. All right. Let's go over some of these more of these mitzvot. So the answer is, it's done as a community.
I mean, if we were in the land of Jerusalem, we would be meeting at the temple, and the slaughter of the lambs would be taking place at the temple.
Okay, because it has to be done at the okay, got it.
That's the place where the Father's name is.
Got it.
At the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a community.
Okay. So if they're in the land, in the land, all the men assemble. You slaughter at the entrance of the tent of meeting, because that's where it has to be slaughtered.
Well, if you read Ezekiel, and you read the about the diagram of the temple has a place for slaughtering animals.
Yeah, right out in the front.
Yeah, so it's not at the tent, not at the tent of meetings.
Well, okay. So in the tent of meeting itself, you have the entrance, and then there's this courtyard area that's there, which I think what you're describing.
Yeah.
And then in that courtyard area, you have where the basin is, where the blood is collected. You have the box where the burnt offerings are offered on that altar. You have also the water basin is there too. And then you have the actual Mishkan.
Yeah. See, what it is I'm not sure in relationship to your point as to whether or not the Passover lamb has to be slaughtered at the tent of meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we have a mitzvot that specifies that for Passover.
For Passover, where it has to be slaughtered at the tent of meeting, or where it can be slaughtered at, in specificity. That's the question.
It's at the temple in the temple yard.
It's in the temple yard. It can be inside, or it actually. Well, at least we know it can be done on the inside.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, if we do the study of the whole of what's happening in Jerusalem after the temple is built, it's in a specific place.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there
But
is.
I don't know if it's at that which it's. The temple replaces the whole tent of meeting.
Correct. So what I'm saying here is, in specificity to in exile, do we meet together
Yes.
to open Pesach?
Yes.
And then we observe the rest of it in our homes.
The Feast of Matzah.
Because after Pesach is only from a specific point of time. It's from evening to complete darkness.
Yes.
And then the rest of it. So it's only in that window.
Yes, until light hits the horizon in the morning, it's got to be burned up.
It's got to be burned up. So you could be doing,
So the community is gathered together during that whole time.
Correct.
Yes.
Got it. We clear. We clear now. All right, good. Moving forward. Now, Vayikra chapter number 23. This is going to outline when Pesach happens. This is where we start getting into the issues with the calendar. Okay? So, we're just going to read the mitzvot. And much talk will need to be done about that. Because like I said, I'm going to continue to keep saying it. The Most High put 2 luminaries up there. There's reconciliation that needs to be done. And we as leaders need to come together as a group. And that just is not just here. I'm not saying that we have any issues here, but I'm saying throughout Hebrew Israel. Okay?
You know, I thought about that, Moray, and I was thinking about that this morning. One thing we should do, we should function as a community of one.
Yes.
With this whole division between the solar and the lunar, you're not going to be out of step if you celebrate it both times, if that's your conviction.
If that's your conviction.
I mean, as a community, we should be as one. We're not going to violate anything. We're not going to anger the Most High in doing it on the solar calendar. And if your conviction is the lunar calendar and you want to celebrate it on the lunar calendar, fine, because the Most High does provide for us in text that if you are in a place where you're not able to celebrate Passover at the designated time, he has set aside another specific time for it to happen. Mm-hmm. I think it's 14 days later or whatever that time frame is.
Yeah.
You can celebrate it off of the designated time.
100%.
So that's what I would say, is to keep the house together.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's all about trying to establish community first, right? So, excellent point. Vayikra chapter number 23, or Leviticus chapter number 23. And I could not leave this first part out, because this is part of y'all's 10 commandments. It's the 4th one. And it goes a little something like this. Asher said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, who? The people of Israel. Not the nations. This ain't for you. It says the people of Israel. The designated times of Asher which you are to proclaim as set apart convocations, are my designated times. You are Hebrew Israel, you are to observe these. Work is to be done on how many days? 6 days. But the 7th day is a Shabbat of complete rest. Can you do that in exile? Yes, you're observing it now. A set apart convocation. You are not to do any kind of work. It is a Shabbat for Eye Asher Eye. Where? Even in your homes. These are the designated times of Eye Asher Eye. The set apart convocations you are to proclaim at their designated times. Convocations, gathering of everybody. first one. Here it comes. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between when? Sundown or twilight and complete darkness comes what? Pesach for Eye Asher Eye. Is that any more clear when Pesach is? Between sundown and complete darkness. There's your window. It says, on the 15th day of the same month is the festival of Matzah. For 7 days you are to eat matzah. On the first day you are to have a set-apart convocation. Don't do any kind of ordinary work. This works out well for you and us and all of us all together because Pesach is on that Friday coming up. The Feast of Matzah would start on what? The Shabbat, which you're already here convocating for. All right?
Interjection.
Yes, sir.
Reading from the from the Bible.
From the Bible. Okay.
It says, or doesn't say, these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations which you shall proclaim in their seasons. I want you to pay attention to what's not here. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover.
Yeah.
And on the 15th day of the month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. What did you notice what's missing?
The evening, the complete darkness, the window is not there.
So I mean, my point in making the reference is to understand that the scriptures that the Father's people are reading, if they're not reading the Hebrew text, understand that there is a lot of text that's not in your scriptures.
100%.
So you're not when you hold up that Bible and you say this is the unadulterated truth and this is blah 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 blah, what you're reading is not true.
Right. 100%.
It's missing a whole lot of text.
Whole lot of text. So, going back over what we just read, because we're going to jump to Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter number 16 next. What do we got in here in this particular piece? We know that on the first month of the 14th day, now we're on the solar calendar, so that would put us on this Friday. You're to have between complete or from sundown to darkness is Passover. All right? We're going to meet here. We got a time.
Yes. We're going to meet here in the specified time.
The specified time. Okay. Number to come soon. We'll put that out probably on the text message. We can do that. All right? Go ahead and have the convocation. Right? Okay. So we're having the convocation. We can do that. That was in there in chapter number 23. It specified the specific time. And then also it talked about eating matzah for 7 days. Can we do that? All right. So you need to go to the store, get you some Manischewitz, or if you know how to make matzah, I'm pretty sure you got some cooks in here that can probably figure out how to do it. Make sure you get you some matzah. Can you do that? All right. It's part of the mitzvah. We're just practicing it. All right? It's a reenactment because we can't do it in its totality. So we do what we can. All right? So let's go over to Devarim chapter number, or Deuteronomy chapter number 16. We're going to start right at the top, verse 1. And this is how we get to, we know when the first of the month happens because there's a word that's connected to it. It's the word Aviv. It means spring. So we know that it's supposed to happen in the spring every single year. So it says, verse 1, observe the month of Aviv, which is spring, and keep Pesach to Eye Asher Eye Yoel. For in the month of Aviv, Eye Asher Eye Yoel brought you out of Mitzrayim at night. You are to sacrifice the Pesach offering from the flock and the herd to Eye Asher Eye, in the place where Eye Asher Eye will choose to have his name live.
Question.
Yes, sir.
The text says that you're supposed to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. If you're bringing a sacrifice, you bring a sacrifice to the Kohanim.
Right.
And the sacrifice is offered to the Kohanim, and then you are to eat the sacrifice in the presence of the Kohanim.
Okay.
So now we have Passover, which is, by text here, is considered a sacrifice, but you're eating it with your family.
But you're eating it. Okay.
You're eating the Passover lamb
with your family.
So I'm trying to understand if there's. I'm trying to think now if there's two that are presented: the one that you eat with your family and the one that's offered as a sacrifice.
That's a good question. I would. If I had to lean somewhere, I would say, would there just be the one? Why wouldn't you just take the? Because he's gonna have to get burnt up all the way. He can't last until the morning.
This is true.
So,
because the sacrifice is burned up.
Right.
When you bring a sacrifice to the Most High, well, no, that's not true.
Well,
that's not true. That's not true because they brought sacrifices to Eli.
Well,
and Eli boiled it in the pot, so the food was eaten with the Kohanim and the person who brought it. That's okay.
But so in that particular instance, we'd have to tie that directly back to Pesach. I think that what I'm keeping in mind when I look at these is that there's specific sacrifices that are brought. They don't necessarily follow like that Vayikra chapter number 1 through 4
right.
liturgy that's in there. There's something specific or changing in that where I'm going to tell you to do something different. I guess my postulation would be, how come they could have sacrificed it in front of the Kohanim or taken it to the Kohanim, and the Kohanim could have took it, or at least they could have got it back, and then they get it back to the family, and they roast that bad boy and eat him.
Yeah, see, the problem is that you don't have a complete liturgy.
Correct.
Of the process.
Correct.
That our ancestors actually did. Mm-hmm. We have the instructions, but we don't have the actual liturgy of the process of what they did.
Correct. Especially for the sacrificial portion of it.
Yes.
That's, again, PhD.
Yeah.
His mind is going, 24/7. Can we do that portion of that in exile anyway? No, you can't do it.
Well, we can't.
You can't slaughter at the front of a tent of meeting.
No.
You can't bring it to the Kohanim.
No.
You can't. That's the portion I'm talking about.
No.
But you can
slaughter a lamb.
Yes, absolutely. We did that. And I was thinking as I was reading this, we're podcasting. As I was reading this, as we did this one year, we actually went out and got a animal from the flock and we slaughtered it. Now, the problem that we fell out of compliance for is we did it in the day. It has to be slaughtered at a particular time. And we didn't do it at that particular time. Had we have done that, but again, the intent was trying to just, okay, let's take this a step further.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where I think the Most High is gonna judge us. Says you were trying to do your best, but as you get along with it, read it a little bit more, there's some more things you could do. Right? Okay. Thank you. 3. Is that where I am? Verse 3? Okay. Yeah, verse 3. You are not to eat any chametz with it. Okay, that's something we can do in exile. So if you got anything that has leaven, what are some common things that you might have leaven? Y'all that got like soul food, y'all probably got that Jiffy quick mix in there. Check it because it's got leaven in it. Okay? It's actually got gelatin in it too. If you're still using Jiffy, that's not good. Why did I say gelatin? Has pork loin in it. You just gave away. For somebody that's watching that may not know why we say gelatin, look at your ingredients, because gelatin is made of what? Pork. It's made from pork. And we have a mitzvah that says we are not to consume any portion because that is an unclean animal. Okay? All right. So always check your labels. So anything that has any leaven in it, and what is leaven? Things that, like in bread, that make it rise. It's yeast. Okay? Get it out of your house. You got up until all day on Friday to get it gone. Okay?
There is that we're making we're making that application to the literal house, the leaven
Correct.
out of the literal house. But you have to realize that your temple is also a house,
Correct.
and you need to get the leaven out of your personal living temple house also.
Yeah. 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 Out of your personal house. Yes.
Out of your personal living house.
Things you
Any
need to be
puffed up,
expunging from.
any lack of humility needs to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Verse 3. Back up again. You are not to eat any chametz with it. 4. 7 days. You are to eat with it matzah, the bread of affliction. For you came out of the land of Mitzrayim in haste. Thus, you will remember Zakar, the day you left the land of Mitzrayim, as long as you live. No leaven is to be seen with you anywhere in your territory for 7 days. We were in the land, and this was the land, there'd be no leaven in Sacramento. There'd be a leaven shortage. No leaven is to be seen with you anywhere in your territory for 7 days. None of the meat of your sacrifice on the first day in the evening is to remain all night until morning. You are not to sacrifice the Pesach offering in just any of your towns that Eye Asher Eye, your El, is giving you, but at the place where Eye Asher Eye, your El, will choose to have his name live. There is where you are to sacrifice the Pesach offering. In the evening, when the sun sets, at the time of the year that you came out of Mitzrayim. You are to roast it and eat it in the place Eye Asher Eye, your El, will choose. In the morning, you will return and go to your tents. For 6 days, you are to eat matzah. On the 7th day, there is to be a festive assembly. For Eye Asher Eye, your El, do not do any kind of work. Okay. A lot to unpack there, but let's simplify it. We've got, going back to verse 4, no leaven in your territory. Get the leaven out of your house, your physical house, and your house. When we eat that, can we practice that? Eating the meat, this next portion, none of the meat is on the sacrifice of the first day is to remain until morning, right? We can do that. We can make sure all of it's gone, burnt up, however it needs to be dealt with, okay? It says you may not sacrifice the Pesach offering in any of your towns. This is the portion that has to be done in Yerushalayim. We can't do that, okay? I mean, we could, but it doesn't have the tender meaning where we need to be. Lastly, how you are supposed to cook it. How are you supposed to cook it? Roast it. All right. He's telling you how to roast it. Can we do that? Absolutely. Okay. Let's mosey on over to Bod Midbar, or Numbers chapter number 28. We only got a couple of verses here. We're going to start at verse 16. And then I'm going to give you my thesis, and then we're going to get out of here. Our little discussion piece. Bod Midbar, chapter number 28, or Numbers chapter number 28, verse 16. It says, in the first month, on the 14th day of the month, is Eye Asher Eye's Pesach. Now, if you read on, and it says on the 15th day of the month. Now, you got a whole bunch of mitzvot that you just went over on Pesach, on what that's even about. You know what time it's supposed to happen. You know what you're supposed to take from the flock. You know it can be not without it can't have a defect. It has to be in its first year, right? It's a holy convocation. All of these certain types of things that apply to it, right? You know all that because there's a series of mitzvot, fine print, that you have had to have known before even going on to verse number 17. Then it jumps to 17. Where it says on the 15th day of the month is to be the feast of Matzah, is to be eaten for 7 days. You wouldn't know the rest of the mitzvahs that go around that. It says it can't be in your territory, right? Can't be in your house. You got to eat it for X amount of days, 7 days. It says 18. The first day is to be set apart as a set apart convocation. This is what's going to, all these offerings that have to be made, all right? This is the portion that we can't do as well. But I just want to go through it very thoroughly. It says, do not do any kind of ordinary work, but present an offering made by fire, a burnt offering. You know what that is because that's in Vayikra chapter number 1 or Leviticus chapter number 1 about the burnt offerings. 2 Eya consisting of 2 young bulls, 1 ram, and 7 male lambs in their first year. They are to be without defect. With their grain offerings, which I think is in chapter number 2 of Vayikra, fine flour mixed with olive oil, offer 6 quarts for a bull, 4 quarts for the ram, and 2 quarts for each of the 7 lambs. Also, a male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. So you've got a burnt offering, grain offering, and sin offering that are going to be made. When? On the first day of this convocation, on the 15th day of the first day of Feast of Matzah. This is what's supposed to be brought. A burnt offering, a grain offering, and a sin offering. It says you are to offer these in addition to the morning burnt offerings. Every day there's an offering in the morning and in the evening. That's why partially I say you can't do the Shabbat in its totality because it has a morning and evening sacrifice. But we do it because the Most High says it's perpetual and you're going to do it through all your generations. We practice it best we can. All right? Where did I leave off here? I got started pontificating, lost my spot. 24? No, 23. You are to offer these in addition to the morning burnt offerings, which is the regular burnt offering. In this fashion, you are to offer daily for 7 days the food of the offering made by fire, making a fragrant aroma for Eya Asher Eya. Sounds like a little bit Sukkot. It is to be offered because of the 7 days that you have to offer everything on Sukkot. It is to be offered in addition to the regular burnt offerings and drink offerings. On the 7th day, you are to have a set-apart convocation. So you open it with a convocation, which is already on a Shabbat. And then you're going to close it with a holy convocation. That means that on that Friday, you're going to come back to close it. Okay? Do not do any kind of ordinary work. So that's a set-apart day. What do we call it, a Shabbaton or a Shabbat? Shabbaton. I thought that was that. All right. Those are the mitzvot on Pesach and the Feast of Matzah. So what can we do in exile? What can we do?
We can convocate.
We can convocate. What else can we do?
We can cook.
We can cook. What else can we do? You can get your lamb ready. You already got the mitzvot on what to do with him and how to cook him, how to roast him. Not how to roast him, but you should roast him, or you have to roast him. He said, be ready to leave. Where are we going? Get rid of the yeast. What else you supposed to do for 7 days?
Eat matzah.
Eat matzah for 7 days. What do you got to get out of your house? All the yeast. All right. So, from leaving here today, you got now until Pesach. Get all the yeast out your house. Get you some matzah. All right? And we're going to convocate.
We mentioned 2 words
Yes.
in this. We mentioned Sabbath,
Mm-hmm.
and we mentioned
Shabbaton. No, you're good.
Sabbaton.
Mm-hmm.
And some people may not know the difference between the 2.
Please.
The Sabbath rules govern the Sabbath, which means that there are a lot of things that we cannot do on the Sabbath. For example, light a fire and cook. Mm-hmm. Can't do any civil work. But on a Sabbaton, when you talk about Sabbatones, those are high Sabbaths for which are germane to these feast days,
Yes.
which you can light a fire and you can cook.
Yes.
That's the difference.
Excellent. Eloquently put. Eloquently put. Okay.
I mean, they're a Sabbath,
yes.
but they're called Sabbatones, so people may not know the difference between the two.
Absolutely. I'm glad we went over that. Absolutely. Questions on Pesach. This has a lot of importance. They all are important. This has a lot of meaning in the eyes of the Most High. Okay? Your ancestor, quiz. I know you guys know this. Which ancestor of ours had to sacrifice a whole bunch of folk before they actually entered the land? Because they were getting ready to go into the land and actually do this particular Moedim. Which ancestor of the Hebrew people observed the circumcision in honoring Pesach? Yahushua. He had to make sure that everybody was circumcised before they went into that land. Tough job. Tough job. Also, it serves a dual purpose as well because, as an inheritance, as a Hebrew man, you have to be circumcised anyhow. You have to be circumcised anyway. So he's dealing with a group of folk that were out in the desert that actually weren't circumcised yet. You got to go inside the land. All right? Okay. Now, let's get into my topic of discussion, my little thesis here. How many of you are familiar with the Ashkenazis? Ashkenazis, okay. I know your microphone need to be on. Does anybody know what that is on this gentleman's arm and wrist, arm and head? She said a bracelet. I love it. She said that's a cool looking bracelet. What is this? Anybody know what that is?
Yeah.
He said, I know what that is. Ooh, me.
Something like that.
What is that?
That's not the. Let me come up here for a minute.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to see if he has a phylax on his head.
He does. It's right there at the top. Is this? That.
At the top, the Most High gives us a commandment to bind the commandments around your head and to bind them around your arm. This here represents the binding of the commandments around your arm. It's like we do this. Mm-hmm. We don't do that, and we don't do that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You saying what?
So that represents what to them?
That represents the commandments to them.
To them, that represents the commandments to them.
Mm-hmm.
What if my thesis, I'm going to give it to you right now. My thesis is that has everything to do, and let me just say this, that is their way of doing this.
Yes.
There is no liturgy, no commandment that tells you how to do it.
Exactly.
This is how they have designed
Yes.
doing it. By putting that little box on their head and wrapping it around their arm. That's their design.
Yes.
Now, I'm saying this is the remembrance of Pesach. That's my thesis. Because they're going to draw your remembrance to specific mitzvot that are around Pesach and Matzah. There's another one in the same verse we're getting ready to read that talks about a mezuzah. It goes on your doorposts that are supposed to have it in it too. What the Ashkenazians do for the mezuzah and for this thing in Ashkenazian, it's called a tefillin. A tefillin. What they're going to do is they're going to put in Devarim chapter number 6, verse 4, which, what does it say? Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. It has that verse in it, in the box. And then if you also peel open your mezuzah, if you would have gotten it probably 100% of the time from an Ashkenazian, it has the Torah scroll in there that has that particular chapter and verse in it. Okay? My thesis is that's not what that represents. And I'm going to try to prove it to you. I'm doing what Hebrews chapter number 7 is doing. Presenting you with a thought for your evaluation. I'm not presenting to you a religion or fact. I'm giving you a series of postulations based on text. Let's get into it. Let's read Devarim chapter number 6 first. Okay? Which is Deuteronomy chapter number 6. We're going to start at verse number 1. I want you to be mindful. Woo. Man, okay, stick with me. Okay, just stick with me. Now, this is the mitzvah. The laws and rulings which Yoel ordered me to teach you for you to obey in the land you are crossing over to possess, so that you will fear Yoel and observe his regulations, mitzvot, that I'm giving you. You, your child, your grandchild, as long as you live, and so that you will have long life. There is a promise that's connected to it, right? Moray? What's the promise? You do these, you're going to have long life. Okay? Therefore, listen, Israel, take care to obey so that the things will go well with you, so that you will increase greatly as the El of your ancestors promised by giving you land flowing with milk and honey. Here we are. This is the famous part. Shema Israel, Eloheinu, Echad. Hear Israel. Is our El. Yahweh is one. Now, that's where I want to actually go to Matthew chapter 19 and tie that in there. When Jesus is giving his dissertation to the rich man and he says, hey, I've done all these things. He says, well, you should only believe in the only one that's good. The one that is good. The one that is good. Who are we referring to? Are we referring to Dr. Seuss? Who we know, who is the one? Why? Why do we know that? Because in Devarim chapter number 6, verse 4, it says what? It says, Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, which is what? Hear Israel, Yahweh is our El, Yahweh is one. That's who we're talking about. So if there's any question about who the writer should be, or who JC is referring to, he's referring to Yahweh, not himself. Okay? And you are to do what? Does anybody know what love feels like? You know what love is? Yeah. Okay, let me give you an example. I'm looking around the room. Why I'm coming back here in this corner, I don't know. But I think I know why. Listen, these jewels will come off. These earrings will come off. These high heels will come off, and I'll use them a weapon to go right up against your temple. You don't know what I'll do for my family. Don't test me, because I love them. That strong, I'm ready to go. Like, even me and my wife, it would have to be like, okay, I'm good for 15 to 20 years. I can do 15 to 20 years for this situation right here. Any one of our children, yeah, I'm good going. I'll be in Sacramento State Prison for a while because I love them. You please, I'll put some on your books. I'll make sure you can have some top ramen and some Pop-Tarts. Right? I'm ready to ride. That's what that means. You are to love Eye Asher Eye with your heart and all your being and all of your resources. These words which I am ordering you today are to be on your heart. Which words? All of them. All of them are to be on your heart. And you are to teach them carefully to your children. You are to talk about them when you sit at home, when you are traveling on the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them at the front of your forehead, at the front of your headband, around your forehead, and write them on the door frames of your house and on your gates. How does one write all of the mitzvot on their forehead or on a band on their hand? Yes, sir. Let's read it again. What does it say here? It says, go. Okay, 6. These words, which I am ordering you today, you're to be on your heart. And you're to teach them carefully to your children. And you talk about them when you sit at home, and when you travel on the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. These words. My position is to say, okay, he's going to get specific in another chapter about what this is. And I haven't got there yet. This is a reminder of the mitzvot. Okay, all right. I have a wedding band. My wife has a wedding band. Do I have a wedding band? I don't think. Okay. I might have stepped out of turn by saying that. My wife has a wedding band. When you see her wedding band on her hand, what does it mean? She's married. What else does it mean? Okay, what else? What does that mean? She's married. Hey. So the physical sign says that she's married, but there's a set of other things that it deals with. Yes, this is going to draw your attention to a mitzvah, but it's drawing your attention to all of them because we observe all of them. You see the point I'm trying to make? This represents something which says she's married, but then there's other things that it represents too that go along with it that is not necessarily, they're there. You know that they're there. But this specifically means one thing, okay? When you see it. That's the basis of what I'm saying here. So he's saying, yes, you're going to remember all of them when you see this sign. But I'm going to tell you that this particular sign is for a specific reason. And it has everything to do with Pesach and Matzah. Okay? All right. When? Do I need to do 10? I don't need to do 10. All right. Let's go over to Shemot chapter number 13 and continue that thought. what is the specific mitzvot that is assigned to the headband, arm, and to your gateposts? And you should already start thinking about Pesach and the Feast of Matzah. I put this on the doorpost to help me remember what? The blood that was dipped in the hyssop and put on your doorpost so the Most High could pass over. I wear this band around my arm. I'm giving you the answer already. So you can remember that I was the one that stretched out my arm and pulled you out of the house of bondage. That is what I want you to remember. I want you to wear it around your head because there's a mitzvot that says that all of the firstborn were killed. And then there's also this mitzvot that also talks about within that same frame that you are to break the neck if you're not going to redeem it. And that is the part of the portion of this that's tied into this mitzvot with Pesach. Let me make my case. Let's read 13. Let's hear it from the ears of Moshe as the Most High is telling it to him. He says, Eye Asher Eye said to Moshe, set aside for me all the firstborn. Whatever is first from the womb among the people of Israel, both humans and of animals, belongs to whom? Me. Moshe said to the people, remember this day on which you left Egypt. This is all around Pesach and Matzah, right? The abode of slavery, because Eye Asher Eye, by the strength of his hand, has brought you out of this place. Do not eat chametz, or anything that has leaven in it. You are leaving today in the month of what? Aviv, springtime. When Eye Asher Eye brings you into the land of the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Emori, the Hivi, the Uvisi, which he swore to your ancestors to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you are to observe this ceremony in this month. What ceremony? Pesach and Matzah. It says for 7 days you are to eat matzah. The seventh day is to be a festival for Eye Asher Eye. That's a mitzvah. Matzah is to be eaten throughout the 7 days. Neither chametz nor leavening agents are to be seen with you throughout your territory. On the day that you tell your son, it is because of what Eye Asher Eye did for me when I left Mitzrayim. Moreover, it will serve as a sign on your hand. What is serving as a sign on your hand? Let's read the rest of it. Moreover, it will serve as a sign on your hand and a reminder between your eyes, so that Eye Asher Eye's Torah will be on your lips, because with a strong hand, Eye Asher Eye brought you out of Mitzrayim. The idea here is this is making you remember with a strong hand, I brought you out of Mitzrayim. And because of that, you're going to speak about these mitzvot that are there. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. To wear this. Can you do it? Can you wear it? He's wearing it. You can wear now, okay. So if it's at Pesach, here's the other portion of this. Y'all can call me out on it. If it's during Pesach, then when am I supposed to do it? During Pesach. We leave it up all year round on our doorposts. But I may be persuaded to think, and where I am now, is that that's only during this particular time of this festival that this happens. Now, could you wear it all year long? Sure. There's nothing stopping you. But when he says to me here in 9, because what he's talking about is the pretext. What's the pretext? He's talking about the festival of Matzah for 7 days. Don't eat get the leaven out of your house, right? He says that, no leavening agents in your territory. Eat matzah for 7 days. He's talking about the promise. And then he goes on and specifies, it says, moreover, it is to serve as a sign on your hand. What? That I delivered you out of Mitzrayim. He's telling you not to eat hametz up in verse number 3. But then, again, back in 9, moreover, it will serve as a sign on your hand, a reminder between your eyes, so that Eya Asher Ish Torah will be on your lips, because with a strong hand, Eya Asher has brought you out of Mitzrayim. Therefore, 10, you are to observe this regulation at its proper time of the year. So it has a specific time, yes.
So what is the interpretation again of saying that it's supposed to be a sign on your hand? I'm a little confused on that one. And when you're talking about it's like that, it's supposed to be on your head. Which mitzvahs again are supposed to be in there?
You just read it. It says, moreover, right there. It will serve as a sign on your hand. We just read it. And if we go back to the previous chapter that I was in, which was Devarim 6, and verse 8, or matter of fact, the Shema is right there. Shema Israel, Adonai, or Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Yahweh is one. Verse 6, these are the words which I'm ordering you today. They're to be on your heart, and you teach them carefully to your children. You will talk about them when you sit at home, and when you travel on the road, when you lie down, when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them in front of your headband.
There's a problem here.
What's the problem?
This and this are the Ashkenazis' interpretation of the scripture. We don't have any picture from our ancestors that they did this.
Correct. That's why we let open with that. That's how they do it.
We don't have any scripture that tells us that this is what we're supposed to do. Binding them on our head and on our heart and our hands. We don't know how they did that or what they did. Physically, the mitzvot are in our head, in our mind, in our spirit, and our hands execute them.
Then you got to deal with the part about writing them on your door frame. In that particular instance, in both situations, yes, heart, mind. Could you wear something to symbolize something? I do it if my wife does it every day. You know it as a marriage, but there's other things that are associated with it. You see this on that man's, or whatever. You could wear, I don't know what it looks like. Moray's 110% correct. This is Ashkenazian. It's not us. So you could possibly wear something during this time around your hand just to symbolize and say, this is why I'm wearing this. Okay? We don't know what it was. Yes, ma'am. No. Back in Devarim chapter number 6, where it says tie them on your head. It says bind them on your head. It says tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them at the front of your headband around your forehead. Write them on the door frames of your house and on your gates. What I'm saying here, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what that looked like. That's what I'm saying. We have no record of what our ancestors could have possibly did. This is just, not that you're saying this is just an interpretation of what they think it is. They think it's their attempt to say that's what that's for. Okay? And I'm not saying that your Moray just told you that's not what that means to them. He said it just means that it represents all of the mitzvah, which it does. But I'm saying in specificity, it's made to remember certain things. I see that on the hand. My immediate mind should go straight to, okay, outstretched hand. Delivers you from Mitzrayim. Why is it on my head? because of this issue of the redemption that I haven't read yet. Why I'm writing it on my gates is because I want you to remember that I passed over you. I can have a symbol that represents one thing, but then I'm talking about the rest of the mitzvot because you can't do that. You just can't talk about that one mitzvot and not talk about the rest of them that go along with it. That's why you're supposed to keep them on your head. No, it says right here in 9, it says on the door frames of your house. And on your gates. So not only the gates, but then also on your house.
So?
Oh, that sinister laugh you do. I'm in trouble. I'm messing up today, y'all bad.
He said, write them on your hand. Write them on your hand.
It said write them on your.
Write them on your hand.
It says, what does it say? Tie. It says tie them on your hand as a sign.
Oh, tie them on your hand.
Tie them on your hand as a sign.
Okay. I guess that rules out having Torah tattooed on my hand. Because
Yes.
I could have Torah tattooed on my hand. It would be written on my hand.
He said it'd be written on my hand. Yes, sir. Moray.
Well, when you read the Shema and you finish, he said, these words I am ordering you today, and those words are the ones to be tied to your hand. Tie them on your hand as a sign and put them on the headband around your forehead. What words is he talking about? He's talking about these words right here.
But then you have to go over to Shemot chapter number 13 when he also says here, moreover, in verse 9, it will serve as a sign on your hand and a reminder between your eyes so that Yahweh's Torah will be on your lips, because with a strong hand, Eya Asher Eya brought you out of Mitzrayim. He's giving you the reason for it. So I'm saying,
With you.
So I'm saying at this particular time, when this is worn, not this, but when this is worn, this should bring you back to remembrance of specific things. And the words that the Most High, you're going to have, see, you confused. Stop looking at this. I'm not saying, that's your problem. Stop looking at that. That is what they do, okay? Because no one really, okay, we're familiar with seats, but then we never talk about these mitzvot that also talk about these particular other signs that we have, okay? So again, listen, I brought this up, okay, for discussion, and this is exactly what we're having. This is called a midrash, kind of, where we're adding our little pieces in here to try to come up with an idea. And I just put on the table, what if, by way of Devarim 6 and Shemot chapter number 13, that what we're looking at is actually talking about remembering strong hand, redemption, and then also thinking about hyssop over the door because I passed over you. That's what I want you to remember. But then I got to talk about the other mitzvot.
Devarim chapter 6, the Shema, can be inclusive of all the mitzvot. These words can be all the mitzvot, all the words that I'm giving you today. It can be inclusive of that. It can also be, as the text rolls on, when we read text, we read the text, the pretext, and the post-text.
Sure.
So in the text itself that follows that is germane to Pesach.
Yes.
So you're not going to be wrong in any aspect of the text, because he's telling, remember these words, and to do what? The main thing in there is to do what? Love me.
Now, the pretext.
And honor these words that I'm giving you. What words has he given you? He's given us a plethora of mitzvot.
Now, the pretext in Shemot 13 is when you get into the land.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
And if that's another good point, or maybe we move into that to say, hey, listen, if germane to the land, this is something, if that's what we're thinking about, just to say, okay, yeah, that could mean that. if we looked at it that way.
Which, to your point, I do believe that if you decided to do it out of the land, it wouldn't be any problem with that because it's to zakar. It's to remember.
It's to remember. Yeah. And anything that you can do to continue to remember what happened, then so be it. That's what it's for in the first place, right? So, if anything we discussed today, it was a good discussion. We had a lot of good talking, banter going on, digging into these mitzvot a little bit further. But for me, what I'm standing on today is what I opened with when I started my dissertation, is that, yes, we can pick apart these mitzvot to death, but at the end of the day, this says Hebrew Israel. It didn't say individuals. We got to be coming on one accord. And it shouldn't be Hebrew Israel's keeping Hebrew Israel in exile because we see things differently amongst ourselves. We have got, the mitzvah says, don't hold a grudge against your brother. If you got something, go to him, rebuke him for it. Let's get this thing squared away so we can walk in lockstep for the Most High. I've never seen, unless the Morays can tell me when the Most High brought a portion of Hebrew Israel back. Or did he bring them all back? So, yeah. Anything else? Anybody else want to add anything? He said, we all good? Good. Okay. Next week, we are going to now. I said that because doing this in preparation for Pesach. Just want to make sure, are we all square on what we're going to do? Major thing is the chametz out of your homes. Get that leaven out. We can practice that, right? Yes, ma'am. 6:30. 6:30. Excellent. 6:30. We'll be back here to convocate. All right. On the 28th. The 28th. This Friday. Yep. Would be yes, the 6th day. Thank you, Morey. We'll come back. We'll do that, and then we'll start Matzah. And then on the Feast of Matzah is good because that's actually where I'm ending up now because I just finished 21 and 22. And actually, what's in chapter number 23 of Vayikra? The Moedims. So right in line where we need to be. Okay? So we are going to go over the 5 Moedims, the major 5 that we have in Hebrew Israel next week when I return. All right. Hopefully we did all right up here today. We good? All right. I'm going to let you go ahead and enjoy the rest of your Shabbat and rest. Let me bless you. It comes out of Bad Midbar, which is in the wilderness, or Numbers, chapter number 6, verses 24 through 26, which just simply says in the Hebrew, Yivareka Yahweh v'yishmareka, Yair Yahweh panav eleka v'huneka, Yisa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam leka shalom. Which means in the English, may Yahweh bless and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and show you what? Favor. May Eya Asher Eya, or Yahweh El Shaddai, lift up his face towards you and give all of you shalom until next time. West Coast Hebrews to the East Blackwoods.